This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast. Hi everybody, welcome back to Crimes and Consequences. I'm Talia, and this is my lovely co-host, Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Talia.
We have a great episode today. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Joseph Palczynski?
No, I have not.
Well, this is a little different than what we normally do. We're going to go through his life and see how he became who he became and how he ended up. But before we do that, if you guys want to hit the like or subscribe button and maybe leave a nice comment instead of nasty ones, that'd be great. And with that, I'm going to put on my glasses and we're going to get started. Okay, so let me tell you about Joseph. He goes by Joby.
Okay.
And he was born August 5th, 1966 in Baltimore, Maryland. As a child, his mom was really loving. It was pretty much a normal upbringing. He had a stepdad who loved him. Even when his mom and his stepdad got divorced, his stepdad still remained in his life. His real father abandoned him when he was 10. So that would be like one of, the issues he had. But he wasn't abused or anything like that. And he had some siblings. So he didn't have a whole lot of childhood trauma, maybe some sense of abandonment. But there was an incident that occurred when he was 14. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe how he was in his life. And I'm going to let you know there's a lot of domestic violence involved. And he's a real asshole. He's a real asshole. So he's 14. He was in a bus accident. And with this accident, he had a very severe head injury. And ever since then, that's when his behavior changed.
We've had that in a couple of our cases.
Yeah.
The killer will get a head injury when they're young.
Yeah.
And, somebody needs to really get in in-depth study.
Well, they have frontal lobe damage.
Yeah.
So after that is when the violence really started, his tendencies. I mean, pretty much right after that. For example, he got really upset with his mom, and he was like a tornado in the kitchen. He was yelling, he was screaming, he was throwing things. It was so bad that his mom had to call emergency. She had to call an ambulance. And they had to restrain him, and he had to be taken to the hospital. So he's 14 when this happens. By the time he was 15, he'd already been arrested several times for minor offenses, like shoplifting. But his violent tendencies, they continued to increase. And they were definitely more focused on girls and women.
He focused his violence on women? Okay.
He would eventually use that head injury to justify his violent outbursts. And then when he was 17, one of his siblings, his sister, died in a car accident.
Oh.
And so that really messed him up even more. The doctors, he was going to see doctors, they were giving him medications and stuff, but they couldn't get him right. They diagnosed him with bipolar. They gave him lithium to help, treat his bipolar. But it didn't change anything with him. But for some reason, he was lucky with the ladies. Girls liked him. He drove a Mustang.
That helps probably.
Yeah. And he was a relatively good-looking guy. I mean, he's not my type, but he's a relatively good-looking guy. His real acts of violence started about the age of 17, maybe 18. He ended up attacking and assaulting 7 women in 13 years, and we're going to go over it. And some of them were just new teens. So I'm going to start with the first. Joby, he goes by Joby, met Amy Gearhart. She was 15, and they were both at it was the Perry Hall High School. He was a junior, and I believe she was a sophomore. And he was able to convince her parents, because he was very charming, that even though she was 15, please let me pick her up in my Mustang and take her out on a date. And eventually, they were together for about 5 months. He took her to senior prom. And they have this picture, and they look cute as buttons. But it was really far. By that point, their relationship, he had shown signs of being abusive. So during this 5-month courtship, Amy noticed another side to her boyfriend. And remember, she's only 15. For example, Joby kept guns stashed under his bed and in his car.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, right. What? What are you doing? What do you need that? And he once held her at knife point. He put a knife to her throat. He told her he had 2 personalities. Joby number 1, and that was a calm and rational Joby. And Joby number 2, and that was an angry and strange Joby. And she never wanted to meet Joby number 2. But nothing could prepare Amy for the Joby she encountered on July 24th, 1987. Here's what happened. She's hanging out with a group of kids. They're in a parking lot near a beach in Ocean City, and they're eating ice cream. She was spending the week in a condo with a friend and her friend's family. And Amy didn't expect to see Joby there. He wasn't supposed to be there. But he showed up when she was feeding a bite of ice cream to another guy.
Oh, no.
And she sees Joby coming towards her, and he's pissed. Without explanation, he just knocked her to the ground. Friends tried to intervene, but he was just beating her right there in public, just beating her.
Wow.
Eventually, the police were called. And when the police came, he squeezed Amy's hand and he whispered, "Don't tell them anything." Amy's stunned. She's just been beaten in public, and she just didn't say anything. Joby calmly talks to the officers. He said he was looking for his watch and a ring, and he lost it in the parking lot. And whatever he said, the police left. He walked Amy towards the ocean, and he ordered her friend's 14-year-old brother, his name was Jason, to join them under threat. He said he needed a witness, basically, and you're coming with me to witness me walking with Amy, okay? On the beach, Joby forced these 2 teenagers to hold hands and walk in front of him like prisoners as he would kick and hit them to keep moving. Keep going. For 14 and 15 years old. What is this? They walked to what's called the Delaware line, and that was about a half mile. And the whole time, Joby is screaming and blaming Amy for making him lose his ring, which he, I guess, lost when he was
beating her.
Her.
Okay, yes, it's her fault.
And he interrogated Jason, the 14-year-old, and Amy about where the boys were sleeping and where the girls were sleeping in the condominium, even though Amy's with her friend's family.
Yeah.
And who Amy had been with in that past week. He eventually forced the 2 to sit on their hands, cross-legged on the sand, with their backs to a chain link fence. So there's this chain link fence. And while their backs are to this chain linked fence and, they're sitting there, he's pacing back and forth and he's threatening, I'm going to break your legs. He ordered Jason to hit Amy. And Jason's like, no, I'm not going to hit Amy. Then Joby grabbed Jason's hand and he forced Jason to hit her in the chest. So he's doing it 3 times. At one point, Amy urged Jason, and Jason is much more scrawny. He was like a small 14-year-old. Just run. And he ended up getting up and running. So while she's left alone with Joby, Joby tells her, listen, you're going to die. So you can choose how you die. Do you want to drown? Do you want to choke? Or do you want me to beat you to death?
Oh, my God.
And then, by the way, I'm going to kill your family. Amy's pleading for her life, sobbing, and he's beating her, pounding on her chest over and over again and laughing. But then she sees this group of men fishing at the water's edge, and she's thinking, this is my chance.
Right.
This is my chance to escape. And she breaks free. She runs up to them. She grabs a flashlight and she shines it. They had a flashlight. She shines it on her face to show how battered she was because he had been beating her. It was a calm, reasonable Joby who caught up with her, and he reassured the fisherman. He said, let's go talk under the streetlight and let's work things out. There's no reason for you to interfere. And Amy's in a daze and like probably stunned.
Right. She's probably in shock, right?
In shock. And she went along with it. And he ends up talking to to Amy in this light by a parking lot. And he could see like the extent of his handiwork because her face was just battered. And he began crying.
Oh, gee. Really?
I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'll never do it again. Later, her family took her to a doctor. And there was x-rays and there were photographs. And it showed that she had contusions to her left eardrum, right? Her left eardrum. And she couldn't hear out of it for months.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, there were cuts in her cheeks and her nose, and her right eye was hemorrhaging. So it was red. Her rib cages were bruised. But she told her mom, I don't want to press charges.
Well, she was probably terrified of him.
But her mom's like, no, we're pressing charges. Amy's mom later recalled receiving a phone call from Joby's mother.
Oh,
She's like, please drop the charges against my son. But Amy's mom is, no, I'm not dropping the charges. And she told her, Joby is abusive. And at some point, he's going to end up killing somebody. I mean,
right.
He's like,
he's doing this at what, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they break up.
Thank God.
That fall, Amy was shocked when she saw Joby with a 16-year-old girl named Kimberly. And Kimberly ended up reaching out to Amy for advice because she knew Amy was Joby's ex. Joby had given Kimberly a black eye.
Oh.
And Kimberly was just trying to figure out, how did you get away from him? I can't seem to get away from him. Amy told her that you got to get a restraining order and you have to press charges because that's what she did. Because Kimberly and Joby's next victim, and her name is Sharon. She's 17. They declined to be interviewed, so I don't know their last names. But they had experiences with Joby that they ended up reporting to the police. And there's a document about what happened to Kimberly. It was filed by Kimberly's mother, and this was October 8th in 1987. It says, Joseph Palczynski searched through Kim's bedroom without permission when she was in the shower. While searching, he found birth control pills. And that made him really angry because he didn't want her taking them.
Like it's any of his business why she's taking them, number one, or that she's taking them at all.
Yeah. Well, it's just about control, right?
Yeah,
it's about,
absolutely.
It's just 100% about control. So he starts slapping Kim several times in the face with an open hand. He's doing like a front hand, back hand. And then he punches her and he gives her a black eye. And she had bruises on her right and left cheekbones. And he punched her in the stomach, which knocked her to her knees. And he just threatened her, stating that if she didn't do what he said, that would happen again. And then also in the report, it says Joseph pulled Kimberly into the bathroom at his house. And at that point, he was living with his grandmother. And he told her he wanted to have sex with her. She refused. And he became really angry and very forceful. And he punched her with a closed fist multiple times in her breastbone. And then he went into a closet and he got a razor blade. He then proceeded to threaten Kim, saying, quote, if you don't come here and talk to me, I'll beat you some more, whether my grandma's here or not.
Oh, he just doesn't care.
He doesn't care. And, he wasn't raised in a family of violence.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. He ended up being convicted for beating Kim, and he got sentenced to 2 years of supervised probation. In January of 1989, he was still facing charges that Amy Gearhart's family had filed, and he pled not guilty by reason of insanity.
Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
But he was found competent.
Yeah.
They found that he was competent, and he got sentenced to 4 years in prison in Hagerstown.
Is that in Florida? California?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Okay. He served 2, and that included some attempted escape. So that's ended up why he ended up serving 2. And he had regular counseling there, and the counselor described him as having deliberately sought out dangerous situations consistent with a fantasy identity as a Rambo-like hero. What?
So he thinks he's this big badass.
But he's beating
girls.
Girls. You're not a badass if you're beating girls.
No.
You're a piece of shit. Right?
Right.
Piece of shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so now when he's 22, he's released from jail. And this is 1991. He returned home to live with his mother and his stepfather. And he worked part-time at an athletic supply store. He also took lifeguard courses.
He's going to save someone's life?
Isn't that ironic?
Yes.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yes. He's going to save someone's life.
Because that's a hero.
Yes.
He's like the Rambo.
The Rambo,
he's
yes.
Jump in and he's going to
save
have the little headband on like Rambo and save some lives.
Excuse me while I roll my eyes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. And he occasionally did some construction work. According to mental health reports, life at home was strained for him. They didn't approve of him being 22, dating high school students. And he would sometimes sneak them in the house.
Yeah, because he can control them easier, right?
Yeah,
the younger they are.
It's also called rape.
Yeah.
Statutory rape.
Yeah, that too.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
That's a huge.
He was sneaking them in the house?
Yes. High school girls. He's 22. It's like, come on, grow up. So anyway, he in August, hold on, let me find where I'm at. By August, he'd moved into an apartment with 2 roommates. He was dating a 17-year-old named Sharon, And in September, and this is less than 6 months from his release from jail, he was warned by the assistant principal.
At Sharon's school?
Yes, do not come to this school. And eventually he was arrested for attacking Sharon at the school.
Big surprise.
At the school.
At the school. He just really doesn't care.
So in one of the court documents, and this is dated November 8th, 1991, it says, quote, "We were arguing in front of her school. I proceeded into the school." Okay, you're 22. Oh, sorry, it was her. She proceeded into the school. "He came running after me. He pushed me up against the wall. I pleaded with him not to hit me, but the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. I'm screaming. He also threatened my parents. He was going to kill them and leave me living so I could suffer. He said if he goes to jail, he will kill me or get someone to hurt me. He's gotten people to come to my house before. This is not the first time he's hurt me, but before he only pushed me and pulled my hair."
Oh, it's escalating.
It's escalating. So he gets out on bail. He was ordered to have no contact with Sharon, but he didn't give a fuck. Calling her up. He says, "Hey, I'm going to blow your brains out," if she didn't drop the charges against him. He also somehow, while on bail, managed to purchase an Inland M130 caliber rifle from a pawn shop.
Oh, great.
I guess, I mean, I don't think that's a good idea, but
Well, no.
he thought it was just, he was telling this friend, his name was George, "I got this gun." And George thought, oh, he's just talking big. And that he had said he was going to go use it to shoot up people at Sharon's
He told his
school.
friend that?
Yeah, and his friend's like, "Oh, you're such a big talk.
Oh. Well, nobody thinks that anyone's for real when they say stuff like
Okay,
that.
well, you say that to me.
Well, I mean, nowadays, I would say if anybody said, "Oh, I'm going to go shoot up a school," yeah,
But if you're like,
a
"Talia,
huge
I
problem.
got a gun.
I got a gun, and I'm just going to start killing people. Oh,
You big talker."
yeah.
Stop it. No, I'd be concerned.
People are a little more innocent back in the 90s, slightly, but
That's true.
But I mean, it's still something very disturbing to hear.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, don't ever say that shit to me.
No, I won't be. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, I won't be saying shit.
Okay. So Sharon ends up filing additional charges for these phone calls, and he gets arrested, and he's held at the Baltimore County Detention Center. And when he was there, the staff was like, "You know what? He might need a psychiatric evaluation." So he got sent one place, and they sent him to Spring Grove State Hospital. He was diagnosed with bipolar, mood disorder, and possible depression. But on December 16th of 1991, 2 days after he arrived at the facility, he escaped.
Great. They must have fabulous security there.
He escaped.
He escaped.
Yes. And he fled with 2 identification cards, someone there. So he's a fugitive for a month. And he surfaced in Gooding, Idaho, when a woman filed a complaint against him for assaulting her 15-year-old daughter and threatening to kill the girl's brother. There's a police report and a newspaper article that gave the following accounts of what happened. While in Gooding, police were investigating this mother's accusations. And it was Maryland, not Florida.
Okay.
Maryland State Police alerted their counterparts in Idaho that Joby was believed to be hiding out in Gooding. I don't know what his tie was to Gooding, but they said the man's unstable and possibly armed, this time with a 9mm handgun and a shotgun. On the morning of January 17th, he barricaded himself alone in an apartment and told police negotiators that he would kill himself and shoot people in a nearby parking lot if the police moved. Okay, so he's completely lost it.
Yeah, he's very unstable.
It was 16 hours that he did this, and a SWAT team hid the apartment with tear gas, and he was eventually taken out and brought back to Maryland. He was put in jail. he's in jail, and then a year he left jail, and when this was less than a year of him like
Doing all of
yes.
this.
He now faced charges for federal gun laws and battering and threatening Sharon and for escaping.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about
Yes.
escaping?
Any conviction would have put him back in prison unless he was deemed
Incompetent.
insane. Yeah, incompetent. So he had another mental health evaluation taking place, it took place. And this one was federally done. And the psychologist, and while he was being evaluated, he told the psychologist, I can't even say this with a straight face, that he purchased the gun from a pawn shop to kill the ninjas.
Stop it. Stop it. You know he just said that for just to appear like he's insane.
Ninjas were trying to kill him.
Stop it. Stop it, Joby.
And then he ended up cutting his wrist twice, once deeply enough that required stitches. And he told the psychologist that it was the voices in his head. Bullshit.
Yeah.
He's playing.
Time.
He's totally.
Yeah, because he knows he's going back to prison.
Yeah, he's playing the system. He later boasted, I was just playing the system. Federal psychologists diagnosed him with schizophrenia because they
believed him.
Paranoid type personality disorder, but that he met the criteria of legal insanity. Yes.
He did?
Yes, he did. So he's found not guilty on the weapon charges.
I'm pissed right now.
I guess he was good.
Yeah.
At what he did.
He played it up.
And he won. 15 months later, after court-ordered treatment.
He's all cured now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they put him on medication?
I'm sure they did. He had a complete recovery. That's what matters.
But like, if you're taking medication and you don't have that mental disorder, like if you're not schizophrenic and you're on schizophrenic medication, is it going to do something to you?
I haven't gotten to it. Okay.
Just
give me a second.
All right.
Now you're jumping ahead.
I'm thinking out loud here.
According to, he had more, he's seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, and he's 25 now, and he was extremely stable.
And that's why they said he was cured.
No evidence of bizarre behavior or verbalizations, which might be indicative of delusional thinking.
Okay. Yeah, because he didn't have it in the beginning.
He's cleared his head.
To start with.
They didn't know they hadn't taken his medication for more than a year.
Oh, that's what happened.
See,
yeah, he wasn't taking it. I mean, aren't they supposed to be watching you?
Oh, slip it under your tongue. I
don't know. Like,
right there. I don't know.
Okay, so he wasn't taking it. That makes sense now. That makes sense. Thank you.
So he ends up being able to go home, and he was free to choose his next victim. It's the summer of 1995, and 42-year-old Gary Osborne is getting really concerned about who his teen daughter, Michelle, is dating. He didn't trust this guy. Joby was a nice-looking man, and he had a fancy sports car. I don't know how he's getting all his money, by the way. Like, who's paying for this fancy sports car? I didn't have a fancy. You had a Mustang, didn't you?
Yeah, but I was like 30.
Oh, okay. Because my car was like $1,200.
No, I had a piece of shit.
Yeah, a piece of shit. Mine was a Toyota Corolla, and it was like used for $1,200.
My first car was a Dodge Shadow. Do you remember that?
Of course I do. Of course I do. So Joby was polite, and he seemed very devoted to Michelle. She's 17 years old, and she had a daughter already. And he was really good. Joby was really good to the daughter, but he didn't have a job. And Gary was like, why don't you have a job?
Right.
And he had said that he was, I believe, 22. And Gary just thought, you know what? You look older than 22. And then he noticed that Joby was becoming more controlling. Gary found him hiding in the bushes outside of the Osborne's house.
Okay, that would be the end of that, right?
What are we doing in my bushes?
Yeah.
You're pulling weeds? What are we doing here, buddy?
No.
Like, why are you in my bushes? And he would peer through the windows when she was talking on the phone, and just like, okay, this is not okay. And then one day Gary saw bruises on his daughter, and that was it. Like, he's done. He questioned Michelle about it, and they argued. It turned out that Joby at this point was 27. And as far as the bruises, Michelle told her father that she'd gotten them from falling off a ladder.
Oh, girl, don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Why her mom
She's scared.
Her mom had a cleaning business, and I guess she'd be on a ladder, and she said, "Oh, it happened." But he wasn't stupid. Gary wasn't stupid.
No, the kid's in the bushes.
Yeah, he's not even a kid. He's 27.
No, he's 27. He's in the bushes looking through their windows. No.
Hey,
Dad knows what's up.
Yeah, Dad knows what's up. But before I tell you more, we're going to take a quick break. One day in July, when Gary ended up ordering Joby, "Get out of my house. Like, get out." And Gary's slender. He was small. He's 125 pounds.
Oh.
Like, I'm bigger than Gary.
Yeah.
But a fight ensued, and it ended up that Gary went to the hospital with 4 broken ribs.
Wow.
And a split lip that he had to have stitches for. He didn't press charges because he didn't want any more trouble. But then he would change his mind later because Joby ended up beating up Michelle on Christmas night. She still saw him. She'd spent the holiday with Joby, visiting his family as well as hers. And I'm sure her parents were not aware. Like, he's beating up Dad. Dad's going to the hospital. I mean, I'm just guessing. At the end of the day, tired, she just wanted to go to her parents' house instead of going back to Joby's apartment. And this made Joby mad.
Everything makes this asshole mad.
Everything makes it. Yeah, he's an asshole. Everything makes him mad. And things got out of hand. He ended up choking her. He slammed her head against some shower tiles. He scratched she scratched at his face, and it ended up like she staining the blood stained the white sweatshirt she had given him. And Joby yelled that she had 10 minutes to remove the blood from his sweatshirt, or he would give her the beating of her life. And she's desperate. She's freaking out. So she soaked it in cold water with some ice, and she's rubbing the stains. But it wasn't enough. She couldn't get it out. So he just beat her.
Really?
Beat her. Yep. And then he ordered her to go into the kitchen and to pick up a knife. Then he put a cloth over his own hand. He took the knife from her, and he said, "I could kill you right now. My fingerprints wouldn't be on it, only yours." So that's why he had her grab the knife. "All I have to do is tell the police you tried to kill me with this knife, and then I killed you in self-defense."
Yeah, I'm sure that would fly with his history of domestic violence.
That's true,
right? But yeah.
Okay.
She's not thinking that at that moment.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure she's scared
She's
shitless.
just scared. He just beat.
Yeah, exactly.
He just beat her horribly. He eventually fell asleep because he's tired.
Yeah, did a lot out of him.
She laid beside him, and she's shivering. She's certain if she moves the wrong way, he's just going to kill her. But, I mean, she's thinking, how can I get away from him? The next morning when he woke up, he was more calm. He'd calmed down. He had a good night's rest.
Mm-hmm.
And she begged, Michelle begged to have him take her to work. She told him over and over again, "I love you so much. I would never leave you. I'd never go to the cops." And then she reminded him that, you don't have a job. I do. So
she's smart.
Yeah. So I need to go to work so we can have some money. So he drove her to the video store because she worked there too. She helped her mom out, but she worked at the video store. And then he watched her from his car for a while. But eventually he left. And Michelle took a cab and she went to her parents' house. When Gary Osborne saw his daughter, he went to the police. But Joby's mom had called him later. "Please."
Why is she enabling him?
I don't know. She's like, "He's on probation. He'll go back to jail."
Yeah, good.
And Gary was like, "No, I'm calling the police. Now, Joby gets arrested. He's awaiting trial he's in the Baltimore County Detention Center. And Joby made a plan. He was determined to change Gary's mind.
Oh, no.
And he had friends that would help. Just so you know, Joby rarely, if ever, dated just one girl. And he always had girls, teens, around him. If one girlfriend filed assault charges against him, 2 or 3 other women would always go to the police and say, you know, she's a liar. She's making it all up. We know we're his friends. We've seen them together. It's the fall of 1995 when things with Michelle were strained. Joby struck up this friendship with a teenager from Pasadena. Pasadena. Her name was Lisa Anderson. She's 17. She's a junior at Chesapeake Senior High School. He told her he was 22.
Man, he's working that 22.
Never gonna get. I always said I was 21 plus 9 plus 10 plus whatever. Suddenly, though, so this Lisa is liking him, thinking he's great, and he's all of a sudden put in Baltimore County Detention Center. He says he was taken there on false charges because of Michelle. And Michelle Osborne had been cheating on him, he explained, and he found out, and all he did was push her.
That's all.
And Lisa believed him, and she was really devoted to helping keep his spirits up. And he would call her collect from jail every day, morning, midday, afternoon. She started skipping school so she could spend more time talking to him. I bet that phone bill.
Oh, man.
She felt that they were like partners in this. Then she dropped out of school, and she moved in with a woman, or a friend of Joby's named Ramona Contrino. And Contrino was driving it's a 300ZX. Is that a Mustang?
Mm-mm.
Mazda.
Yeah, Mazda.
That's a Mazda. While he was in jail. And that's when Joby began his campaign to intimidate the Osbornes into dropping Michelle's charges. He accused his former girlfriend of theft. He identifying her as an adult on his charges. Wait, scratch that. Sorry, you're going to have to edit that. He accused her of theft, but that failed. And then he filed charges against Gary Osborne.
Oh, really?
Remember I told
What
you
did Gary do?
They got into that fight?
Oh, he's filing assault charges?
Yeah, he said that Gary threatened to kill my family and blow my house up and my cars. Gary responded by filing charges against Joby for the same incident. And the very next morning, Gary woke up and his pickup truck had been vandalized.
Oh.
All 4 tires were flat. There were deep scratches in the paint. And someone poured 10 pounds of sugar in his gas tank. But they didn't drop their charges. So Joby upped the ante. He asked Lisa Anderson to accuse Gary Osborne of threatening to blow up her house and kill her if she testified on Joby's behalf. That's when Lisa was like,
yeah, this is...
I don't know. But he yelled at her through the phone, Lise, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it now. You have my car, and you're riding around in it. You do it now, or I'm going to kill you.
Oh.
You have 15 minutes to go down there, pick up the papers, file a report, and call me. She faked filing the report, faked official signatures, and she wrote down what he had told her and mailed it off. But it was a long story short. Joby is like, you lied to me. You're a liar. This is a game. You think this is a game. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your family.
Oh, he's on that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she ended up filing charges against him. But she can't because she's only 17. Anyway, she wrote, quote, Sunday, March 31st, 1996, at 12 p.m., I received my first phone call from defendant Gary Osborne. He said, hey, when I say file charges, I mean she filed charges against Gary.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. Hey, little bitch, go ahead and testify for Joe. And I replied, who is this? And he responded, this is Gary Osborne.
Yeah, I don't know, threaten someone, then tell you who it is.
Yeah. Michelle's fucking father.
Yeah. Oh, he said that? Mm-hmm.
Then she said later that afternoon, she got another phone call. And he said, go ahead and mess with my family, bitch. I'll fucking kill you and blow up your fucking house. So go ahead, bitch. And then it's all over for you.
Probably what Joby said to her.
So guess who got arrested?
Gary?
Gary. For charges of making bomb threats and obscene comments over the phone. He was handcuffed.
He was?
Yes. And driven to the police station where he stayed until his wife could post bail.
Ridiculous. I know.
What the fuck is this shit? It's so messed up.
I know.
3 more times that month, he was arrested on similar charges filed by Ramona Contrino's sister, Carla. And he got taken away in handcuffs.
3 times.
3 times.
Ridiculous.
And they had to raise money for his bail. Gary actually had something he put when he was in jail on him that said, please keep me away from Joby Palczynski. He's a prisoner here.
Really?
And he would tell all the guards that.
Wow.
Michelle pleaded, Dad, let's just drop these charges. But Gary's like, no, no, nope.
Nope, we're going for it.
Eventually, the false charges against Gary were dismissed. The ones from Carla Contrino, she admitted she lied.
Yeah.
And also implicated Lisa Anderson for lying. Gary ended up suing them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But his biggest worry was Joby.
Yeah.
He would be free. Joby pled guilty to the charges of battery.
He did?
Mm-hmm. And witness intimidation, but he got a suspended sentence. He did.
Unbelievable.
He did. He was put on probation in order to stay away from Michelle Osborne and her family.
Oh, that'll stop him.
Gary ended up cutting down all the bushes in front of his house.
So he couldn't hide in them anymore?
Couldn't hide in them. How does he get away with this?
With all of the stuff he's done. Like,
Unbelievable. So now we're in the summer of 1996, and there is a 16-year-old. Her name is Stacy Culotta. She's pumping gas at this store. She's got a white 300 ZX sports car. Oh, she's pumping gas at the store, and then this white Mazda 300 ZX sports car pulls up, and she notices this good-looking guy. Yeah.
Who's 35 at this point. I know he's not, but I know he's not that old, but.
Stacy's like, I like your wheels. And he introduced himself and said he had a set of rims and tires he was trying to sell. So Stacy went to Joby's house, take a look, and they exchanged phone numbers.
Of course. Oh, man.
Next thing you know, they're dating. And he's telling Stacy everything she want to hear, making her feel more grown up than she is. On her 17th birthday, they'd only been dating 2 weeks. He showered her with expensive gifts, and she ended up hiding him from her parents because she knew, like.
Where is he getting his money?
I don't know.
I know.
Side jobs, I guess, construction.
Yeah,
she was enamored, but he's 27. And, he's on a suspended sentence for battering Michelle
Osborne. He's a real charmer.
Who just lived a few blocks down. He told Stacy he was 20. And he'd done some bad stuff in his background.
Yeah, I'm a badass.
She figured people change.
Oh, sure. They do.
It didn't matter because if you love him enough,
right?
She's in love with him.
She's going to be the one to change him.
Yes. Yeah. Her parents weren't as convinced. They were like, there's no way he's 20 with all the crow's feet, with all the wrinkles. And it did not sit well with them. And then they discovered that he'd been in the county jail. And she just said, oh, it's a jealous ex-girlfriend. And her parents were like, no.
No.
So now she has to sneak out behind their backs. And Joby helped her. He'd pick her up in different cars so her parents wouldn't suspect. Like they knew what his car was.
Right.
So it's a different car. He persuaded her friends to lie about where Stacy was. One night, Stacy told Joby that her dad had found out some bad things about him and that he knew about the charges and there was assault and battery and even a kidnapping. And he actually thought it was kind of funny because if she knew all the things he'd done, he's like, in his mind, he's like, that's all you know?
Yeah.
That's nothing. Joby tells Stacy to start recording her parents' conversations. He needed to find out how much they knew and what they were planning on doing to stop them from being together. He said, I'm going to find out your dad's sources so he ain't pulling nothing on me. He's going to make me move to phase 3. He don't want me to do that. I'll know everything about him. I'll know where his mind's at. I'll start putting him under surveillance. What?
You don't think that, and she doesn't think this is weird. Come on, girl.
I don't know.
I mean,
he was possessive and she was under his control at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
He would pull her out of school and he had all these rules and told her there'd be severe consequences if she didn't follow them. She was
definitely abused.
I mean, he pulled cigarettes out of her mouth. He grabbed her by the neck. He slammed her against a wall. And she's just 17.
Yeah, she's just a kid.
And
now she's going to record her parents?
At one point, Stacy said she didn't want to see him anymore, and he tried to run her and her friend off the road.
Oh.
His moods were shifting always. He was unpredictable. It was his anger. For example, 5 minutes after slamming her against a window, he would say, do you want me to make you a dinner? He prepared one time after smashing her head against a fucking wall. He made steak, mashed potatoes, corn on the cob, and he lit some candles.
How romantic.
But that's that cycle.
Yeah.
That's that cycle of abuse.
Right.
He's sorry. He didn't, he doesn't.
Now he's making it up to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she was under his thumb. And his parents had forbid her from seeing him. And they felt he was an abuser.
He was.
So in August, Vince Coletta told Joby, you need to stay away, like permanently stay away from my daughter. And in September, he filed a PPO. In November, the Colettas got lucky. He went to jail. He ended up being convicted for like probation violation and all these things. It doesn't matter. From jail, he told his mother to hand deliver a letter to Stacy, where she worked. And his mother stood in the aisle of Safeway while the teenager read it. And then her mom took it back. She had promised her son, Stacy's parents wouldn't get their hands on that letter. He promised he'd never let her go in the letter. No matter what, they'd always be together. And he knew Stacy would wait for him. After he finished his jail sentence, they were going to move to Florida and they were going to get married. And she felt hopeful.
She did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
He considered her a joke, to be honest. He'd written other women saying she's just a joke and he's just giving her what she wants to hear. Anyway.
Master manipulator.
He wrote in a letter, this is so gross. If you tell a girl what she wants to hear, he wrote, you could fuck all of them. And that's what I was doing for the past 10 years. Oh, it's not just what you tell them, but how you are and where you tell them. The only hard part is remembering the lies. I'm sure you get the point. I added up all the girls I fucked. And I fucked 142 girls, and 38 of them were virgins.
Ew.
He actually wrote that to Stacy.
He wrote that to Stacy?
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
When she didn't want anything to do with him. Strange cars began racing past Stacy's house. There was a guy in a green Mitsubishi, one of the cars Joby had borrowed remember I told you to fool her parents?
Yes.
And it was waiting for her at the parking lot one night after work, and it often would follow her home. She found messages on her windshield. They were cryptic. She received phone calls, and they would hang up. And then shortly after, one of Joby's friends took her out to dinner. I don't know why she's still hanging out with one of her friends, but her pager began receiving coded messages. Watch your back, bitch. I'm coming back for you. And Diana, her mom, ended up writing the Victim Notification Services division. You know how they have victim advocates?
Right.
How does he get away with this? He's leaving notes. You know, I'm afraid he was obsessed. Yeah. And Stacey's mom started collecting license plate numbers and any information so she could figure out what was going on. And then eventually Joby was released from prison on June 20th, 1998. And Stacey was just one of his many girlfriends. He had a new sports car. How?
I know how. I don't know.
A Mazda RX-7. And he was romancing a woman he met in the checkout line at Superfresh. She was Tracy Whitehead, and she was legal.
She was.
She's 20 years old.
Oh, my God. She's an old woman.
She's an old woman.
Compared to who he used to date.
So he's dating Stacey. And that would be the catalyst to where we get to the real true crime, where people are murdered. Tracy and Joby were in a relationship for 18 months. And it's just like all the other ones he had. At first, he sweeps her off her feet. They're madly in love. And then he just treats her like shit. Like shit. He was violent. He was jealous. He was abusive. All of that. Controlling. Probably isolating her too.
Probably.
She stood by him. And she felt like her life was better when she started dating him.
Yeah.
After all, she stopped missing. I don't know. She was drug free, and I guess she used to be on drugs, and I guess
she was clean, and
I don't know.
Man.
But then the abuse got worse, and she broke up with him in March of 2000. She felt he was finally going to be held accountable for his actions because she went to the police. And she told the police all these assaults he'd done to her. But guess what? He got arrested and he got released the very next day on bond.
Yeah, great.
He convinced a neighbor to buy him a shotgun.
Oh, no.
And a rifle the next day.
After he got out of jail.
Tracy is staying with neighbors. Their names were George and Gloria Schenk. And they wanted to help her. They wanted to shelter her from him. And it was March 7th, 2000. Joby showed up at the Schenk home. And he was begging Tracy, please talk to me. Please talk to me. But she refused. 2 hours later, he showed up to their home again. He forced himself inside and demanded Tracy leave with him. And then he shot and killed Gloria and George Schenk.
Oh, no. In front of her, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How horrifying.
And all they were trying to do was protect her.
Yes.
Just killed them. Another neighbor hears this commotion. His name was David Myers. And he runs to try to go to the scene. And Joby shoots him too. Then he took Tracy and he kidnapped her. And he threatened to kill her the whole time while she was in his car.
Oh, and I'm sure she thought she was as good as dead.
Yeah. I mean, he just killed George and Gloria. He drove her to the woods. And then he put a ring on her finger.
Oh, man.
Are you ready for this? Admitting it's bad timing. But would she marry him?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not fucking kidding.
He's crazy.
I know this is bad timing.
I know this is really bad timing.
It's probably a little awkward right now.
I mean, I get it. But
would you like to be with me the rest of my life?
Yeah, fuck no. It's
unbelievable.
Unbelievable is a very good word to describe it.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Then he raped her
Mm.
because she was saying no.
Oh
I mean,
man.
you know what?
Yeah.
I'm a little young.
I'm
We've gone through some stuff.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
So they roamed around the woods for 2 days. And then later he stopped at a motel. And Joby realized that his face was all over the news for triple homicide.
Yeah.
So they left and they were in the parking lot. And a police car just happened to drive by. And Tracy, they're getting to leave. And Tracy takes off, running full force, screaming for help. She ended up getting away safely for the time being. And Joby, he'd taken off and he's now on the run. And there's this manhunt. After Joby takes off, he does a carjacking. And he killed a 36-year-old pregnant mother.
Oh.
Her name was Jennifer McDonald.
Oh, poor Jennifer.
She was
Aw.
shot. And then he threatened a man named William Terrell at gunpoint. And he had Terrell drive him to Baltimore. He eventually let him go after Terrell went to a sporting goods store and bought him some camping equipment.
He let him go.
Mm-hmm. So he's on the run. There's this
Mhm.
manhunt for him. I mean, he just I'm skipping over Jennifer McDonald,
Yeah.
but she was pregnant.
I
She had
know.
kids,
Like,
and he just
because he wanted her
wanted a
car.
and
Like,
it's just really
it's just so
upsetting to me.
senseless.
It's just really upsetting to me.
Yeah, there's just lots of things about this story that are very upsetting. And
It's and not domestic violence is very upsetting to me. But so now we're at Friday. It's March 17th, and he surprised investigators when he penetrated a barrier and fled to nearby Dundalk to the home of Tracy Whitehead's mother, Lynn.
oh my God.
And she lived with her boyfriend, Andrew McCord, and their 12-year-old son, Bradley McCord. He held them for 97 hours, hostage in their home.
97 hours?
Yeah. The police are out there. There's negotiators. They're trying to get him to come out. At 97 hours, he keeps that family in terror.
Mm-hmm.
Terror. And once a 12-year-old.
Right.
He just ignored everything. Occasionally, he would fire shots at the police or neighboring apartments. So there's this big standoff. No one was permitted to leave the neighborhood, right?
Right.
Can't go to work
No.
because there's a hostage situation.
Oh my God. Can you imagine calling into work? There's a hostage situation in my neighborhood and I can't leave.
97 hours. No one was permitted to go. They called it the kill zone.
Oh.
All residents were asked to stay they tried to get some of them to go to a local elementary school safely as a shelter. But you know what's interesting? Some people were like, fuck this. I gotta go to work. Or I don't know why. But they left the perimeter.
Wow.
They risked it.
Yeah, they were probably like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
why
know.
stay? I mean,
especially if I was on the outside of the perimeter. I don't know. I'd be like, man, I'm out.
I mean, I understand why the police want you to stay.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
But
then staying, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'd probably stay in my house.
Yeah, you always stay in your house. You don't leave your house very often anyway.
No, I try not to.
So he had a demand. Joby had a demand. He wanted to speak with Tracy.
Of course he did.
And police denied it. No. Afterwards, they justified it by stating that that was his only request. And had they granted it, he might have killed, like just because this is what he wants doesn't mean we'll necessarily get what we want, which is the release of the hostages. Tracy was kept at an undisclosed location. And it was revealed after the standoff that she was in a Holiday Inn under police guard. On the evening of Tuesday, March 24th, Tracy's mom and her boyfriend decided Okay, they were going to take matters into their own hands. They laced a glass of iced tea with Xanax.
Oh my God.
And yeah, they put Joby to sleep.
Did they really?
And they were able to escape through a rear window.
Wow.
Is that badass?
Yes. Be like, okay, we got to do something.
Would you like some iced tea?
Yeah,
I just made
pour
it
you a
freshly.
glass. Here's the glass. Oh, man.
And they went through the rear window.
Those minutes they were waiting for him to fall asleep, though, were probably the longest minutes of their lives.
They left Bradley, who was 12, because he was sleeping on the kitchen floor.
No.
Yes. And they expected as soon as they got out that the police would rescue him. Mm-hmm. So the police did. I mean, they rushed in.
I got scared there for a second.
No, but I'm like, but they did. Yeah, they didn't. I think they didn't want to wake him up because it might wake up Joby. I don't know. So the police rush in. According to the officers, Joby had been lying on top of his weapons, and he started charging. He'd been lying there, and he grabbed them and charged at them.
Mm.
This led to the officers firing numerous rounds.
Oh,
and Joby was killed.
well, that's a shame.
Yeah, he'd been shot 27 times.
Oh my God, 27 times. Whew, they weren't letting up.
An autopsy showed there was only Xanax in his system, no other drugs. And it was determined that the shootings were justified.
Mm. Yeah, well, he was armed.
And I think that's about where we're ending this.
Man.
It goes on and on and on. But that's where we're going to end it.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to end it.
With his death. Man.
27 times.
27 times. Oh my God. There are so many people in this story that need
therapy
big time. How awful. How awful.
But how amazing they laced that with iced tea with Xanax.
Yeah.
I wonder how many they put in there.
A lot.
I would.
I would have put in what was left in the bottle. Hopefully it was a full bottle, right?
But it wasn't enough where he ended up waking up and charging at the police.
Man. Well.
So that's the end of.
Well, thanks, Talia.
Yeah.
That was a crazy story. These poor women. Man, he was an awful, awful person. He got away with it for so long.
Yeah, but that's, he's getting vulnerable. He's intentionally picking vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Right?
But then the justice system's letting him, I don't know.
I just think what happened to Gary Osborne.
Right. Poor Gary. He was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? I know people are calling me saying, what?
Yeah, I did what?
Bitch, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to bomb your house.
Yeah, poor Gary, man.
I'm just a dad trying to
protect my daughter.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Man. All right, anyway. Well, thank you.
You want to do the closing?
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for
I'm parched.
You've been talking a long time.
I've been talking a lot.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. And don't forget to hit the subscribe or follow button. If you would like to
leave us a nice comment,
please do.
We'll share it.
Yes, in another episode of commenting on the commenter.
If you leave us a bad one,
we will include you too.
We might.
Maybe.
We might share it too.
Or we'll just lump you in with everyone else.
Or just cry on the phone to each other because you're mean.
No, I don't cry over these comments.
No, not anymore.
Stupid. Yeah, I'm used to it.
We're used to the tears and pain.
Mm-hmm. Plus, we're dead inside, right?
Yeah, yes, dead inside.
Being an attorney helps.
We're lawyers.
Yeah, being an attorney helps.
We have no heart.
To be dead inside. So
we have no heart.
No,
we do.
We do.
We do.
If you'd like to hear more episodes of our podcast, we are on every major podcast app.
Yeah.
If you would like to hear even more, we do offer episodes that you can purchase on Patreon. You can become a Patreon member, or you can subscribe through the Apple app. Our website is crimesandconsequences.com.
Yep.
And you can go there to learn more.
Yeah.
And that's
get merchandise.
Yeah, get merchandise if you want to rep your favorite podcast.
Absolutely.
And that's
Tell your friends. We love True Crime Daily. Thank you, True Crime Daily, for hosting us. And
that's everything.
Tell everybody. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your neighbors. Tell your garbage man. Everybody.
And until our next episode,
don't kill each other.
Bye.
Bye.